Bleacher Report came out with this article recently, and they asked one simple question: whose legacy would get the biggest boost if he led his team to the championship this year? And here's their orders. I'll start from the bottom. Number 6, meaning he's the 6th player who his legacy would get the least boost on this list of the top 6. LeBron James. Number 5, Kawhi Leonard. Number 4, Ben Simmons, which I think is unrealistic, but yeah, I guess if Ben won, heck yeah. Giannis number 3, Chris Paul number 2, and James Harden number 1. Now, I agree that of those players, Harden's legacy would get the biggest boost because we know he's been this great individual phenom. He's been an offensive machine for the last 4 or 5 years, or a historic offensive machine for the last 4 or 5 years. He's been a machine even longer than that, but hasn't been able to get over the hump and win a title. So I do think this would be huge for him. But I'm going to throw something at you. What if Russell Westbrook leads the Rockets to the championship? Which I think is very possible. Westbrook is, I would take Harden over him, but you can make a strong argument that Russell Westbrook is just as good as James Harden. Historically, I think they go down, at least at this point, right around the same place. And they've both done great things individually, but haven't been able to win a championship. And that's been the knock on each of them. And since they've gone small, Russell Westbrook has been an absolute monster. All right, in the month of February, he averaged 33 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists on 55% shooting.
Yep.
In
all
March,
they need to do is get rid of Clint Capella.
Well, they got rid of Clint Capella and they went small. And Westbrook has been playing great. He averaged 26, 9.5 boards, and 5 assists in the month of March. It was only 5 games, but he was playing great basketball. And I believe statistically, he may have averaged more than Harden points per game since they went small. It's very close. So my point is this. What I'm going to throw at you is this. If Westbrook is the better player in the playoffs of the two, if Westbrook is the better player in the finals and wins the finals MVP, who does this still boost Harden's legacy more? Or does it boost Westbrook's legacy more? And now he's regarded historically as the better player.
Okay, so I'm going to humor you with this argument. I mean, with this debate, because first thing is they cannot win. First, you cannot win a championship with James.
I am not picking him either. I agree with you there.
No,
you can't win with him?
You cannot win a championship with James Harden as your best player.
Well, hold on. A couple years ago, did they not have Golden State down 3-2?
If and was pots and pans, the whole world would be a kitchen, Chris. So I'm just going to go with the fact that they can't win. But for the sake of the debate here, is if Westbrook had the better playoffs, I mean, like from start to finish, and carry the team, it would be a bigger boost to his legacy than it would be to Harden, because it would be one of those, kind of like what they said about LeBron at the beginning of his career when he first won a champ. Well, when he went to Miami, he needed somebody else to make the shots for him. He needed this, he needed that, he needed a savior. And that's what they will say about James Harden. And Russell Westbrook, people have said, you can't win with him. He's a phenomenal talent, all these things, but he just can't win. He can't gel with teammates, all of that. So it would be a bigger boost for Westbrook's legacy than it would be for James Harden, especially if he carried them. But truth be told, they cannot win. You cannot win a championship with a guy who doesn't put it on the line every day on both ends of the floor. Like Steph Curry isn't a great defender, but at least he tries. And you have times where Harden checks out. He doesn't participate in the offense when he's not dominating the ball. You can't win like that, period.
I think he could win a I don't think they can win it this year. I think they're going to run into one of the LA teams and lose in the second round, if they even get past the first round. So I'm with you on that. They're a long shot in my view, but I'll give them just a puncher's chance because they do have two great players. But I don't think I'm not against Harden being able to win a championship because, again, a few years ago, and I still personally think Golden State was going to come back and win, even though they were down 3-2 going to Houston. However, or with Houston having home court. However, I still, got to admit they were up 3-2. And if Chris Paul doesn't hurt his hamstring, maybe Houston wins that series. Maybe right? They beat Cleveland. Yeah, it's a maybe. We don't know. So, but I think these guys are very close historically. Very close historically. And I think if Westbrook won a ring and was the best player and led his team to the championship, as great as it would be for Harden to do the same thing, I think there's a strong argument that Westbrook would get the bigger boost.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking about I'm saying Westbrook leading them or Harden leading them.
No,
and the Bleacher Report problem. The problem with the Bleacher Report article was they assumed Harden would definitely lead them, and I don't think that's an assumption you should necessarily make.
Oh, I totally agree with that. But the of all the people on the list, though, the one that struck me the most was, granted, Chris Paul would get a boost, but I feel like he's very well respected, but he can't win. But the person that just shocked me the most to be on this list was Ben Simmons. I was like, Ben Simmons doesn't even have a legacy yet. You know what I mean? Like, he's not even deep enough in the game to where people are questioning, oh, wow, can he win a championship? He's going to win a championship. He's not even in a real solid, like, MVP front runner yet for you to even be questioning. Like, dude can't even hit 3-pointers good yet. And so he's still
hit him, shoot, take him,
yeah. Or he's still
I feel you. And you're right. He's in that honeymoon stage still, toward the end of it, but he's still in the honeymoon stage where, if he doesn't win, nobody jumps on him. But if he did happen to win, happen to lead them to the championship, his legacy would get a boost. He would definitely get a boost. And since we're dreaming,
it would be one of those early ones. It would be one of those early ones where, almost like an Aaron Rodgers where he won earlier in his career, to where, like, you don't even necessarily have to win again to get the respect that you deserve. People will wonder, oh, is he going to win again? But you can never take away those championships, buddy.
No question. But since we're dreaming, how about Luka Doncic? I mean, if he, and again, it's totally unrealistic, but if he won, his legacy, or I don't even want to say legacy yet,
it would be bigger than,
it would be huge.
He would be on a higher trajectory.
He's done more than LeBron at this stage in his career.
Yeah. He would be on a better trajectory than for the Mavericks, and end up more beloved than Dirk Nowitzki.
Oh, no question.
If he got a championship in the next 2 or 3 years, they'd be like, whoa, hold up. I mean, because they would be in contention every single year in and year out, which is what you want for your great players. And mind you, Luka, he didn't come in with, even though he's performed so well, he didn't come in with the same fanfare and, weight on his back like LeBron did, where people were expecting. And LeBron, granted, some of it he put on his own back, not 5, not 6, not 7. But it would like Luka's had so much less pressure that it almost feels like an overachievement if he wins early in his career.
Well, it would be. I mean, for a guy in this day and age to lead a team to the championship in his second year, the only player that I would, and maybe Bill Russell, I'd have to look back to see what Boston did before Bill Russell got there. I know they didn't win, but they had Bob Cousy and some other really good players. But the only guy is like who would have done something like this. Well, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Larry Bird. Because Magic won it as a rookie, but he had Kareem. Kareem was the MVP, and I know Kareem sat out the one game in the, game 6 in the finals, but still he had Kareem as the leader of that team, and you had Norm Nixon and, some other Jamal Wilkes, some other really good players on that squad. Whereas if Luka were to somehow win this championship, it would have been Luka. And yes, Kristaps Porzingis is nice too. But this you would have to give Luka, like, it would be incredible. And again, I don't think it would happen. But since we're throwing Chris Paul and Ben Simmons on the list, why not?
And you are missing out on the one person who's actually on this list as well, who I was thinking about it while we were talking, who would actually even have a bigger legacy boost than anybody on this entire list, anybody that we've mentioned so far. That is the reigning MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Because if he got a think about this, Chris. If Giannis got a championship now, what with his skill set, the development of his game, because he could have won MVP and Most Improved Player in the league last year. Right. So if you look at his trajectory, like, people would be saying if he got a championship this year, because he's not playing with another superstar. He's playing with Chris Middleton and Lopez. Like, this is not
here's why I disagree.
A super team. Here's why I disagree. Be considered one of the best players of all time. People would be trying to make that argument.
Here's why I disagree. Because he's expected to win more than one. He better win more than one. I mean, if 5 years from now he has 1 or 0 championships, it's going to be a disappointment. And so that's why I think when he wins one, when he wins this one, let's say he won this one, it would be a legacy boost. There's no doubt. But it would just be like, okay, he got to keep winning. Let's see him keep winning. So when you're at the level he's at, 1 is not enough. And so that's why I would disagree. I think it'll be a boost, no doubt, but I think it would be a bigger boost for James Harden. And I think it'd be a bigger boost probably for Russell Westbrook. Yeah, it'd be a vindication because they're later in their careers and they don't have as many opportunities.
Listen,
and Harden's not viewed. I mean, you view Harden as a guy that can't win. Most people feel that way about Westbrook. As much as I like him, I don't see him winning a title. And so if Westbrook could say, if his resume said world champion, led the team to the championship as the finals MVP, and the only player in NBA history to average a triple-double 3 straight years, you couldn't mess with Russ. I'm saying, like, it would bring that triple-double trifecta to a whole new level. Because then people would start making arguments for Russ being better than this guy and that guy because he did that triple-double and he got a ring.
Yeah, that would be major because people did try to discount his triple doubles.
Yes.
When in reality, there's no discounting what the man did. Like, he did it for multiple seasons. It was not a fluke. I always say,
and I keep hearing, LeBron could have done it, and why didn't they do it? Why didn't Magic do it? Why didn't Jason Kidd do it? Why didn't LeBron do it? Enough of this. They could have do it. Westbrook did it. Whose legacy? What superstar's legacy would be enhanced the most if he won this year's NBA championship? We'll continue the conversation with you next.
Duke in Atlanta. What you got to say?
Hey, appreciate you guys having me on. I wanted to say that I think Russell Westbrook will probably benefit the most legacy-wise from a championship. One, because I think you'll start to hear comparisons to players like Steph and KD simply because, he'll have the same amount of MVPs as KD. He'll also have the 3 years of averaging a triple-double. And if you look at KD's and Russ's resume, KD only has like a couple more All-Star appearances, a couple more All-NBAs. And I think people will always say KD's a better player. But when they compare resumes, I think it'll be much closer than people think. Appreciate you guys having me on.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, this is based on Westbrook leading them, being the best player, or if Harden does it. So one of them has to be their best player. We'll see which one it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that more so he'll get compared to Steph and Magic Johnson, John Stockton, Jason Kidd, Isaiah Thomas, Steve Nash. That's who, because he is a point guard there. But Clyde in Maryland, welcome to the Odd Couple.
Thank you, guys. Hey, the best show on the radio. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Thank you, my man.
But, Chris, you got to take it easy on George. Ooh, last night, you heard him bad. I mean, his new name's Kid Candle.
I know. I mean, I'm amazed that he's back. I really am. But, you know, he hated to hear it. Somebody had to tell him. I'm glad you told him the truth.
Right. Well, at least it wasn't Professor Poo-Poo who had to take the abuse. But listen.
I'm the Poo-Poo King.
Michael Westbrook gives you 100% on both ends of the court. James Harden's nothing but a carrying, traveling, gunning, no defensive player. And Westbrook's going to carry that team on into the playoffs, not Harden. So.
Well, it's going to be interesting because since they went to small ball, they have been less Harden-centric, and it's really been a real 1-2 punch, you know, with both of them carrying the team at times and both of them playing great. So
Chris,
I think Westbrook's got as much chance of leading them as Harden.
Chris, you can't have your family members call in from Maryland.
You trying to steal a page from my book. No.
I already know what you got going, buddy.
I never have heard of my man. He's just telling it like it is, my man. I know it's tough. Truth hurts.
Okay. Clyde, Chris, you guys are related. Eric in Kalamazoo, welcome to the Odd Couple.
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
What's happening?
I want to get on Chris about discredited Magic, saying that Norman was there. They wasn't there Game 6 when the title was on the line with Dr. J banging on everybody, and he played all 5 positions. But
I think that just quickly,
the most dangerous guy if they win the title, and he beat LeBron when he was with the Celtics, and turn around and join LeBron and be with the Lakers. That means he did it with both super franchises.
Well, I mean, Rondo's coming off the bench. We'd have to see
what
type of role he played.
And do what you know he's going to do and beat Patrick Beverly and all these cats that want to be, he's the bad boy.
It would give him
Isaiah's his favorite player.
It would give him a boost. It would give him a boost if he was fantastic. Like we always talk about playoff Rondo. If he was fantastic, I'll give you that. That he would be huge. It would be a big boost for his career. I don't think bigger than some of these other guys, but it'd be a boost. But Jamal Wilkes dropped, I believe, 38 in that championship game. And again, I'm not taking anything from Magic because I think that's arguably the best individual game in NBA history when you consider the stakes, how old he was, 20, a rookie, all that stuff, going against Dr. J. But it's not like he didn't have any help. Jamal Wilkes got busy that game, and so did a few other guys.
Richard in West Virginia, welcome to the Odd Couple.
I definitely believe it has to be LeBron because when you single-handedly, basically, he's the one at Miami, won a championship with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and if they win a championship with the Lakers, which I think they will if the season continues, it's going to be because of him. They have Anthony Davis. Okay, he's definitely a help. But most of the players on that team are just mediocre, and it's because of him. If they go to the Lakers and win, he's got to be. He has to be up there at the top more than anybody else that you mentioned.
Well, look, it's a huge boost for LeBron, and it will start the GOAT conversation anew. There's no question about it. I still think some of these other guys get a bigger boost, but LeBron certainly gets a big one. I think that's undeniable. So we will see. All right, we got our man Brendan Haywood. We'll ask him. He's a 14-year NBA veteran, NBA TV analyst nowadays. Our man Brendan Haywood. What's up, brother? Welcome to the Odd Couple.
Man, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on. And George and I were just discussing what superstar has whose legacy would grow the most by leading his team to this championship. And a lot of people have said James Harden, which I think he will get a huge boost. But I think Russ could lead them as well. And if Russ was the one that led them, played better in the playoffs, was the finals MVP, I think his legacy with the 3 triple-double seasons would get the biggest boost. What superstar do you think, any of them in the league, would get the biggest boost from leading this team to this title?
Man, there's a couple of guys. I think that James and Russ are both good options. I think both those guys have had elite stats, but they haven't had the playoff success. And especially Russ, because without KD, Russ hasn't been out of the first round.
Right.
So, and he's lost to Utah with Donovan Mitchell was a rookie, and he lost to Portland last year, and they dominated Portland in the regular season. So Russ could definitely use the bump, but James Harden has a history of melting in the playoffs. So either one of those guys works for me, and I throw not going to say a dark horse out there, but Giannis as well. Giannis is young, but you don't want, like last year, he kind of faltered in the playoffs, and you don't want that to become a habit where people keep saying, oh, you have a good regular season, but you're not getting it done in the playoffs, kind of like what we've seen with James Harden. Giannis has an easier path in the East. Giannis, being 25, he could get that champion. He could start getting the championship really early. That would definitely help his legacy.
Told ya. Brendan,
you helped George out because Brendan, he said Giannis when we were discussing. He been taking L's all day, so from me.
Sorry.
I'm glad you gave him a boost.
I'm glad I can help, George. Glad I can help.
Brendan, with the players going down to Orlando, we've been hearing all sorts of stuff about what some players are saying they shouldn't go, that they should go. Kyrie's been leading the charge, and then you have people saying that LeBron's going to be the guy. What percentage of players do you think are going to show up in Orlando that are physically, that aren't in that high risk group?
I'm not sure what the percentages are, but I think that there's going to be a large percentage of players that show up just because of the financial implications. Guys still want their money. They understand that if they don't play, the league will miss out on, I think, $1.2 billion in salary. If guys don't come, if there's not enough guys there and they don't play, the salary cap for free agents goes down next year, and it could also trigger the owners to lock them out. So I think most guys realize that this is still a business, and I think a lot of guys are going to go down there and play, except for some of these guys that are free agents. And some of these younger guys, I think the NBA just said they're putting an insurance policy in for guys like Tatum and Bam Adebayo that are worried about playing down there and getting hurt because they got these big-time max extensions coming up.
Brendan, if you were still a player, would you have any reservations about, the bubble and the COVID and, because a lot of players have different reasons that being apart from their family. Would you have any reservations or, that would really, or how do you think you'd enjoy the bubble? So both of those questions.
First off, if I was playing, I would definitely have reservations, just simply because we've never encountered anything like this. And COVID is spread by people being in contact with one another. And so, yeah, we've seen some UFC fights and some boxing, but if you that's one-on-one. So if I know that guy doesn't have it, I should be good when I go into contact with him. It's hard to play a 5-on-5 contact basketball. A contact sport, which is basketball, and not get COVID. Somebody's going to get it unless everybody plays defense like James Harden. Then they might not pass it around. But outside of that, man, you got to understand that you're at risk, and I would be a little bit afraid of that because we've never seen this type of virus and what it can do to people long term. So I would be a little bit afraid, and I do not think the bubble sounds fun at all. I love my teammates, especially when I played in D.C. with the Wizards. I love those guys. But there's no way in the world I would want to be trapped with some of those guys for 2 to 3 months. Hell no. I would have to go home at some
point. What do you think about the coaches who may potentially miss or be altered by the bubble, where you have D'Antoni, you have Popovich, other coaches
Alvin
that can
Gentry,
be, that can be impacted? Do you think that that's going to alter the outcome of the championship?
It all depends on if those coaches get COVID and if those coaches are allowed to come because of their age. If D'Antoni doesn't come or Alvin Gentry isn't there, that definitely impacts that team. Because, they can do some Zoom calls before he can implement the game plan, but what those coaches do in game is key. Like the adjustments that somebody like a Greg Popovich can make in game, you can't put a price on that. Like this guy is one of the best with the clipboard as far as at halftime coming out saying, you know what, we're going to change this. This is our adjustment. We're going to do things a different way. We're going to guard this player differently. So coaching is very important. And if your coach isn't there, your team can definitely suffer. So this COVID-19 bubble situation in Orlando, there's a lot of holes that can be poked in this theory of how it's going to work.
Brendan, give me one dark horse that you think could surprise people, and then who your favorite is.
My dark horse that could surprise people, can I give you two?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to give you one from the East, one from the West. In the West, everybody's going with L.A., but I think a dark horse could be Houston. We just talked about them. This is the best that I've ever seen James Harden look physically. Like, I've seen pictures of James. He hasn't been this slim since OKC. And normally he fades down the stretch. So this year, I think he's going to be probably in the best condition that he's going to be in for the playoffs. So that team has 2 MVPs on that team. So I think that they could possibly make some noise, and that wouldn't be a team that surprised me, man. So James is in great shape. And in the Eastern Conference, Boston. You got Tatum, you got Jaylen Brown, you got Kemba Walker, Gordon Hayward. Giannis hasn't proven that he can dominate the playoffs the way LeBron has, the way Kawhi Leonard has. If Giannis stumbles again, a team like Boston is talented enough to make it out of the Eastern Conference with those young guns.
And who's your favorite?
Favorite? I'm gonna go with the Clippers. I'm gonna go with I almost got talked out of them earlier today, but
we'll keep that private.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Clippers because they have so much depth. If LeBron isn't scoring for the Lakers, if the Clippers and the Lakers play, if LeBron has 22 points, the Lakers are probably going to lose. Whereas with the Clippers, Kawhi can have 19 and the team be just fine because Paul George might have 30. Lou Williams might have 30. Montrezl Harrell might come off the bench for 25. Reggie Jackson is capable of coming off the bench and scoring. They have so many guys that can score and so many different bodies they can throw at LeBron. I think the Clippers have the depth, and if we go into coaching, I love Frank Vogel. But, man, you look talking about Tyronn Lue and Doc Rivers, Sam Cassell. That's a lot of championship-level experience at the coach from that coaching staff.
With all this time off, guys being pent up, trying to get back in it and all of that, how much energy do you think is like the intensity level, even for those startup games heading into the playoffs, do you think that you're going to see?
The intensity level is going to be something that I really want to watch, and it's not going to be because guys are just starting up, because I know they're going to have to play their way into shape even though they have a training camp. But our intensity was all when I played was based off the fans, man. Like you always want to come out there and play and do, but for me, a guy that didn't score a lot, like if I caught the ball off the rim and had a nasty dunk, and all the fans started going crazy, man, I might just block 2 or 3 more shots real quick because my energy's up. Like my favorite Washington Wizard moment was when we were down 0-2 to the Bulls, and we came out and listen, our fans were waving the towel, and they had Jay-Z playing, and Chris, we are a late arriving crowd in D.C. in Chocolate City. Our fans were actually early, and they played that Jay-Z Takeover when that beat hit. And all the fans were there early. The energy in that play, Chris, I felt like I could do a 360 dunk. I swear I did. So it's going to be different for these guys to play without the energy level. Because when you have a nasty dunk, there's nobody there. When you cross somebody over and they fall, it's not the whole arena going, ooh. You got the AAU crowd. You know those 8 a.m. AAU crowds when no one's there with their mama?
Right.
That's the type of these guys are going to have to create their own energy, and I don't know what that's going to look like.
Is there a style? I don't know if you can name any individual players, but is there a particular type of player that you think will be benefit from this or respond favorably to no crowd versus the guy that won't respond to having no crowd? That's a tough question, but
Well, I think the guy that will respond the best to having no crowd will be LeBron James, because LeBron James is very calculated. He don't care if if they want to put an asterisk on it or not. This is another way for him to get closer to Jordan. So he's going to be motivated. He is going to be motivated. If crowd or no crowd, I think LeBron. I know LeBron has talked about the crowd, but he has his own internal motivation. LeBron James is 17 years in. He knows he's way closer to the end than he is to the beginning. So he doesn't. How many more times is he going to be able to play at a high level and be the number one player on a championship level type of team? He's great now, but maybe 1, 2, 3 more years. So he understands that. So I think LeBron's going to have his own energy. I think he's going to be mentally focused. And LeBron's also super mature, man. So he's going to have his team ready. So I think LeBron could benefit the most.